Hello, everybody, and welcome to another scintillating episode of the Chocolate Bros podcast. Bringing
Hello.
it hot, Brian.
Hey, everybody. How we doing today? It's a lovely Monday. It's the 11th of October. And we are We are recording the Chocolate Bros podcast because we are bros and we own a chocolate company named Adam.
Fortunato Chocolate. Check us
That's
out.
Correct.
Check us out at fortunatochocolate.com. It's funny that we still call recording a video filming.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody about our retail store, which is what we're going to get into on this episode of the Chocolate Bros podcast.
Retail store. Oh, that's juicy podcast. If I was going to cast pod, I would do it about that, Adam.
About opening up a little retail shop.
Oh, saucy.
In a strip mall.
Absolutely. There's no better place. That's the modern equivalent of the Taj Mahal, I think.
So you mentioned filming the Chocolate Bros podcast.
I did.
And I mentioned, we got to get a register so we could ring people up.
Yes. Cha-ching.
Yeah. So there's still
that sound doesn't even exist anymore. Nothing goes cha-ching anymore.
I know. There's still all of these sayings that refer to an earlier time when we use different apparati.
Well,
that's no longer in existence.
That's a common thing. For instance, if every time you save something on your computer, you click on an image of a floppy disk, but there haven't been floppy disks in 10 years. And they weren't common even at that point. That's an image of something that hit its peak like 25 years ago, but it's still iconically a part of our daily life.
Did you catch me doing the plural of apparatus a second
Apparata?
ago? Apparati.
Very nice.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, nice. Always nice when you catch a word ending in US, so you can flex that little tie muscle at the end and let people know you're on your game.
Well, in accordance with our previous dad bod conversation, that might be the only muscle you have to flex. Adam,
my US at the end of words muscle.
That's right.
Hey, that thing is stronger than when I was in my 20s, man.
Absolutely. Hey, there's got to be some benefit to having kids, right?
The strongest it's ever been. Yeah, but I got like we've talked about before. I'm dad strong, bro.
That's
dad strong. I could grab my oldest son is pretty big. He's a heavyweight.
That fella's a bruiser.
But I can still pick him up under one arm and carry him if I need to, because I'm dad strong.
That's a really good point. Dads can manifest an inhuman level of strength when necessary to fulfill their dadly duties,
and also a unexpected level of craziness in a public setting as well.
Are you thinking of a particular example from this last weekend?
Yeah, that time when I was with you and you freaked out on your kid.
How dare you, Adam? How dare you? I've done some constructive parenting that verges on the loud side of things, but freaked out is a harsh thing to say, don't you think?
Hey man, because kids want to test what you're going to do in different situations,
right? And
in public, they want to know what the deal is, and so a dad has to make a decision, and a mom, parents have to make a decision. Like, I don't care where I'm at, I'm towing the line. And as a result, you see some pretty crazy parents in public trying to hold the line.
Isn't it weird how when you're younger, before you have kids and you see a parent freaking out on their kid in the grocery store, you think, oh, that poor kid. And then when you get a little older and you have your own family, you're like, oh, that poor parent.
Yeah, for sure.
Your whole perspective changes. You're like, that parent, now we know that parent was driven there. Driven there and dropped off in a desert in the desert of rage and fury by a tiny frustrating little driver.
Well, and also on the other side of things, if you see a kid acting real bad and the parent's cool and not freaking out on them, you judge the parent harshly. Go, how come that guy's not doing what he's supposed to be doing?
No, I respect that. In fact, yeah, absolutely. I absolutely do. In fact, I can't remember where this was. Oh, yes, I do. So I went to pick up my son, who's 6 years old, at soccer practice the other day. And it's in a facility that also has a bunch of inflatable, bouncy things, and after soccer practice, he always wants to go over to the bouncies. And so I said, yeah, okay, we'll go to the bouncies. And I went over to the bouncies. There's a counter with some high stools and a place for parents to set up and work or hang out while their kids are doing the bouncies. And as I got over there, it was a dad, seemed like a pretty young dad, maybe, upper 20s, something like that. And he had this adorable little blonde, sweet little, probably 3-year-old little girl. And dad was tense and upset. And, the little girl made some comment and dad was like, absolutely not. And he started, and he was really tense. And he was like, I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it, Chelsea, and I'm not having it anymore. You've got to learn. You've got to learn that you can't. And I'm over there like, oh, and then mom came by and he's like, honey, she doesn't get it. She just doesn't understand. This behavior cannot continue. And dad kind of stopped, and mom said, all right, I'll handle it. You go take care of Kyle or whatever the boy's name was. Dad kind of stomped off. And I was over there thinking, oh boy, buddy, if you think sweet, angelic little 3-year-old Chelsea is giving you a problem, wait till she's 13. Because I got a little experience in that. Like, you better start calming down right now, bro, because it's going to get infinitely more taxing and you're going to have to be ready. You have to be a little more flexible. Poor little Chelsea. I mean, come on, dad. Get it together.
I'm talking more like this. Say you're at a like a lunch or a barbecue, and one of the other adults is trying to tell a story, but a kid keeps cutting in. Like he's just not respecting social norms.
Well, I feel like a lot of parents aren't willing to tell their kids don't interrupt.
Well, but that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Not necessarily freaking out, but just when your kid is doing something that's clearly not polite or not courteous, you gotta hold the line no matter where you are. A 2 or 3-year-old having a tantrum, I mean, that you can't control that.
No,
they
can't control that. No one can control that.
You can't stop it. You're fighting biology, and biology, you can't fight biology.
Like standing in front of the ocean and yelling at the waves to stop rolling onto the shore. It's never going to happen. They're just going to keep coming.
That's, what that dad would be doing at the shore. He'd be like, "You better stop that behavior right now."
The wife will come and she'd be like, "Check out these waves." I cannot support these waves anymore. They keep rolling in, honey. We got to do something about it, because if we let those waves think that it's acceptable to roll in on the shore, they'll never stop. They'll never stop rolling.
Starts counting off 1, 2, 3. You better stop coming in. When I get to 10, something really bad's gonna happen.
Yeah. So I felt bad for the dad because he was so tensed out, and I felt bad for the little girl because she was just doing her thing. I thought mom handled it pretty well. It gave me a wry smile to think, yeah, I was a rookie once, but now
I did that, and I totally did that too with my first kid.
Right, exactly. And I think this was the second kid, but I think he was just an uptight guy. But girls, everything's different. The girls, the boys, the dad, the mom, and every family's got their own internal dynamic. I don't know what was going on with Chelsea and dad. It could have been as bad as he thought, but I'm guessing he's in for a long, wild ride with that one.
Maybe she's been stealing cash out of his wallet or something like that.
Yeah, he's like, I was 20 light this morning, Chelsea, and I got to tell you, I don't appreciate you going into my room.
Yeah, this behavior has to stop, young lady.
Maybe you're right. In all fairness, that could have been the behavior he was referring to.
Chelsea, I was looking at my credit card statement. I see you were over at the casino again.
Like this started with Disney Plus stuff. Okay. I understood when it was $2.99, it was $3.99, but this is $185 at the Indian casino, Muckleshoot. Okay. We can't have it, Chelsea. Yeah. We cannot have it. The Uber to get there alone was $80. And what are you doing taking an Uber alone? I've told you about this.
Yeah. Good times.
You're 3.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously in that case, he probably was warranted.
Justified.
Yeah, it's justified how tense he was.
That should be our other podcast, Justified Freak Out.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one, dude. There's a fair amount of those.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So now that we've riffed, for a fair amount of time, all that started with you talking about a dad bod muscle because I used the word apparati. That's how all that got started.
That's right.
So today we were just going to talk a little bit about the fact that we are in the process of opening up our first retail store.
We are, in fact, in the process of opening up our first retail store. It's an experiment into the unknown, but that's a weird thing to say because we've been in 5,000 different retail establishments. It's very well known how to do it, but doing it's a whole different thing.
Yeah. And of course, beyond just being purveyors and producers of fine chocolate, obviously we're also quite talented business strategists. Because we're opening up a retail store.
Obvious. It should be obvious by now that since we started our cacao business exactly at the same moment that the worldwide economy crashed and burned in 2008, and now we're opening a retail establishment in the midst of the worst pandemic in 100 years.
Right when they're re-shutting down all of these types of stores.
Our timing can only be described as genius.
Yeah. But you know what? There's something to be said for doing a contrarian move that is unexpected. It probably would be the case that this pretty cool location that we got wouldn't even have been available if it weren't for what was going on in the world. you
That's
think
a good
that's the
point.
case.
It's a good point. And there's one thing about it. If you can survive, if you start in an adverse environment and survive, then you're going to be very well positioned to thrive when things get really hot. So
Yeah.
there's that.
And I mentioned this to you in a previous podcast. I love selling chocolate face to face.
Yes.
It's something that I deeply believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're teaming up with our great friend and customer, David Anijo, who's actually
Great.
over at the store right now.
Great guy.
And
yeah.
and we both of us really believe in doing in-person connections.
Mhm.
And I think that there's a way to start to get, what's the word I'm looking for? Concentric circles over
Mhm.
time starting to form. You treat one person face to face so well, and you give them such a good experience that they're going to be compelled to go out and tell their friends. And little by little, over the course of maybe a year, I do believe we can start to build up a pretty good following there.
So this is the theory of sort of like ponds and pebbles. You drop a pebble into a pond and it creates a ripple, and that ripple spreads outward in a series of concentric circles that eventually impact the entire pond and wash up on the bank.
Yeah, in a
Right?
way, and
Yeah.
in a way, it's what we've already seen with the e-commerce side of the business and
Mhm.
selling from our website. A lot of our wonderful customers, who hopefully some of them are listening right now, they go onto the website. We treat them really well. We send out our email communications. We teach them about the product, and they tell their friends, and they tune in to see what we're going to be up to, and we become hopefully their number one or even their exclusive brand of chocolate as time goes on. And I
Have
think
we?
and I
have
think
we
we can do that.
considered-
I think we can do that in a retail setting too.
Yeah. Have we considered signing them to exclusionary contracts, to exclusive contracts, making it against the law for them to actually have any other chocolate? Is that something that we've considered, Adam?
You want to talk innovative, Brian? You're innovating right now.
I mean, come on, that makes seems like good business 101, right? I mean, lock them in, lock them in.
Yeah, you're talking about a contrarian position. Start signing up your retail customers to
Make your
exclusive-
decision carefully, folks, because this is going to have long-lasting effects on your life.
And we will be pursuing all legal.
Oh, we have
options.
a cadre of lawyers, jetpack ninjas with floggers. Right?
And you know what the contract is going to call for?
What's that?
Mandatory breath smelling.
Absolutely, you're going to have to sniff that breath and just,
Come over here, breathe right in my face.
Is that Hershey's? Did you dare to have a Hershey's bar? Get the legal
Yeah.
agreement.
Are you eating Godiva?
Call the lawyer.
Yeah, I'm calling the sheriff's office. We're taking you in.
So I have an admission to make to you and the good
Hold
folks.
on, let
who
me
are
just say
listening.
one thing.
Yes.
Let me say one thing. Everybody who eats Godiva under contract with us, they'll only be eating bread and water from
That's
now
it.
on. Yeah,
Start with the Godiva, end with the bread and water.
yeah, 3 hots and a cot, Brian.
I'm not even sure it's going to be hot. Let's give them the cold. 2 colds, 3 colds, and 3 colds and a cold cot. I mean,
Yeah. Nice.
So I have an admission to make to you and to the folks out there. As much as selling directly to the public excites and animates you, it kind of terrifies me. I'm much more of a process than a people guy. And it's weird because I really feel a kinship with I love getting emails. I love interacting with our clients at the level that I do, but being in a retail store and I'm just not a sales guy, and interacting and trying to sell chocolate and having people come into your store, it's a new thing for me. It's not really ever been in my on my bucket list. It's nothing that I've spent a lot of time preparing for or feel like I'll be good at. So it's a little bit terrifying and unknown for me. And it to me, it is not ranking high on my list of stuff that I'm looking forward to or know that I'm going to love doing. But it's always good to get out of your comfort zone, right? And it's always good to do something that's new and different and challenging and takes you out of your personal box that we place ourselves in and expands your horizons. So I'm hopeful that it's going to be that for me. you
Yeah,
know?
that's a good point. Well,
Mhm.
one thing that I have observed between operations people and salespeople,
Mhm.
and tell me if you think that this is part of the issue.
Is that we are emotionless automatons that exist in a space only dedicated to efficiency and process.
So that, and yes, I'm going to go ahead and sign off on that. Yes,
Mhm.
that you have no feelings and you're a cold-blooded
How
man.
How dare you, Adam? That
What was-
makes me feel very upset.
Nice. No, actually, you're quite a soulful guy. But here's what I've noticed that that I think standing around in a store talking to people doesn't actually feel like work. That is one thing that I've noticed with an operations guy, that that they would actually prefer to be doing things that are tangible, that when you're done, you can cross them
Yes.
off a list.
Yes, that's right. That's
That's-
so
I-
right. And I've never had stand around and chat with folks on my list. To
I
do.
know. So that's, I see. So that,
But again, Adam, except for trade shows where you go and don't chat with anybody. What is it, man?
they don't lead to sales.
Ah,
It doesn't lead to sales. I know. So now, it doesn't, it doesn't.
that was the sound of exasperation right there. If anyone was recording, the sound of exasperation is like this. Ah,
No, and so I'm as much as you're focused on operation things,
yes.
my extreme passion and focus
Mm-hmm.
here is to building the right kind of brand.
Right.
And I know that what is required for our brand
Mm-hmm.
is communicating with our customers and sharing our story and trying to express to them what it is that makes our company great and what it is that makes our relationship great.
Mm-hmm.
And why we're a different kind of company and why it's a great experience and why they can always count on us. What I find at trade shows, this is from my experience, is it's just small talk.
It's fruitless. Right. I
It's
hear you. And
just-
by the way, you're right. You've been proven right by the fact that your emails are incredibly engaging and people love the communication and the openness and the transparency that you put out there. And it's very attractive to folks and they subscribe and they respond. People respond to it. So by the way, I'm freely
And-
willing to admit in front of you and however many listeners are out there, you're right and I'm wrong.
And here's another thing about, like, let's just take hardcore selling, for example. Like when I was trying to sell chocolate to restaurants,
Mhm.
and you're just calling people.
Mhm.
Like you might call people all day
yeah.
and not actually achieve the goal that you set out to achieve,
Mhm.
which I believe is a huge reason why an operations guy hates the whole idea of that, because it
Yes.
feels like you went the whole day and did nothing.
Mhm.
It really, I totally am getting my head around that.
Yeah.
And the same thing with like being in a store talking to customers. It's like, yeah, I bet you could get your head around the idea of training the employees to do it. It's like we're having a training.
Yes, that's exactly
Yeah,
right.
we're having a training session, A, B, C, D, and E. Like now I'm going to enforce these protocols. We're going to monitor the system to make sure that it's actually occurring. And then I'm going to go on and go fix something else and make it work.
You're right. I
it's-
got into snowboarding last year and I get emails from snowboard places and I got one for jobs. I clicked on it for giggles. And there was a job and I read this job description. And I thought, well, I could do that in a heartbeat. It was basically the front of house director for a big ski and snowboard resort here. And I thought, oh, I could do all that. I could absolutely compile a team and train the team and get it and be humming it 1000% customer service oriented. But I would be dealing with my team, not with the 1,000 general public members that would be dealing with the team. There'd be
I
a
know.
layer of team between me and the public. And it's not that I don't love the public. It's that what you're saying is exactly correct. Chatting with the public is an intangible good and it gets nothing off my list.
I know it doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't feel like work.
That's right.
I mean that is
right.
what I've concluded, but it actually is quite valuable work.
Yes, of course it is.
Because if you make a person feel a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
then obviously they'll keep coming back, but then also they'll tell their friends. And if they have like a really tremendous experience, they'll put the word out. They'll put the word out for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's really what I'm passionate about is helping people become amazing, active brand advocates of our brand. And we know it has already worked because we have our great friend David Anijo
Yes.
who's going into business with us. Right.
That's right.
So the connection that he felt to our company was so strong
Mhm.
that he is now going into business with us. And I bet you, I don't remember our conversation, but I bet you that when you first heard I was going to write emails to people every day, you're probably like, give me a break, dude. Like,
Shit.
what a joke.
I don't remember specifically saying it, but I would not take that bet. I'm sure you're right.
Yeah, you probably just like,
What I do recall saying is every day.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
like-
yeah. And you probably rolled your eyes so far back into your head, you had to like hit the back of your head to like pop it back
That's-
down again.
That sounds like me. Yeah.
It's like, hey, Adam, could you just get me on the back of the head here? My eyes got stuck up.
Give me one solid whack to the cranium, please.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm excited about. I just was having a conversation with another friend who is kind of along the same lines of me, although he's been a
Mhm.
management consultant.
Uh-huh.
His wife just opened up an ice cream shop.
Okay.
And he was just telling me, I love just hanging out in that ice cream shop and just talking to
Mhm.
customers when they come in. And he told me, he's like, I missed my calling as a shopkeeper. I should have, I should have just opened
by
up
100 years, but yeah.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so for certain people that we understand the value, but I can understand why it drives operation guys absolutely nuts because it
Yeah.
feels like you're doing nothing.
Right. It just, because the nature of an ops guy is to have a list of things to do every day. Every minute that's spent conversing with somebody, no matter how pleasant the conversation may be, is a minute that you're thinking, I'm not getting to my task.
I know, and I can totally feel like in every conversation you have, I can always feel like you're always kind of leaning on one foot. It's like I just want to. I'm ready to walk away.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Yeah, it's hard for me to just So and so for me, the idea of the retail store definitely has been you driving it, but I recognize the brilliance of your ideas, your strategic mind, no doubt about it. So I'm at this point, I'm so convinced that you know what's up, that I'm willing to jump blindly into the waters that you say we should jump into, as I have done on this, with caveats about what I can and can't do because of my time availability. But I'm no longer questioning your general prescience about what's going to work and what's not. Like, you got it. You got the magic when it comes to picking winners. I get it.
It's pretty much the only thing I'm like truly strong at. And when it comes to operations, bro, forget it. I can't make any. I remember we were talking about unloading some chocolate, and our partner Dan's like, well, because you were supposed to be out of town, and my dad, our partner Dan, said, well, Adam could go over there and just work the forklift. You're like, no, he's not working the forklift. I'm pretty sure I could work it, but I'm gonna mess it up, dude. It's a given.
Yeah, I just picture going into the storage facility and just chaos. I don't know how, but somehow you working the forklift would cause the sealed boxes of chocolate to just explode, and there'd be chocolate on the walls and on the roof, and there'd be like a family of mice just roosted up on the thing, looking at me when I walk in, like, "Hey, Brian, we've just been eating this chocolate that Adam's cooking up."
And so I feel that way. I know that about myself too. So the same way that you kind of feel terrified about.
It's so wrong, because you're you're the most competent guy I know. It's name anything, ping pong, video games, building stuff that I never thought you could build. You're actually incredibly competent. There's no way you would have gotten that unloaded. It wouldn't have been as smooth. It wouldn't be the way I did it, but you'd get it done because you're a get it done guy.
Well, and the same thing, you could go stand in the shop and talk to people. You could do that.
Right.
But I'm just being honest. The idea of going over there and doing the forklift by myself also terrified me. I was like, I was like really happy when you said, no, don't let him do it. I'm like, I probably would have messed that up. I might have been fine.
And whereas when the shipment came and I was here and I received it, and it was a complete cluster. There was stuff behind ours that was supposed to have been dropped off the day before. We had to unload all that stuff in the rain on this really shaky lift gate with one pallet jack. But I think you had asked me, like, do you need me there? I'm like, no, I don't need you there. And I didn't. I could, me and the driver handled it. And you don't need me to sell to people. No. And that's the beauty of our company. We have different guys to do different jobs that we're really good at.
Yeah. So the little mice hanging out. It's like, hey, Brian.
It's Adam's fault.
Adam left all the boxes open.
Adam left the door open and we came in.
Yeah. Good time.
Absolutely. So something that folks out there might not know is that this store that we're going into, that we're setting up right now, is actually our fourth. So in just a short time, this is actually our fourth location. And the same way we kind of talked about the way we went through our different bean processing facilities, I thought it might be neat to just make a real quick mention of how we've gotten to where we are now and about the setup, because it started.
Is this our fourth location? It is.
Yeah. So think about that. Like, this started, the genesis of this was you and your lovely wife, Neri, selling our chocolate on Pinterest, I think.
Hey, it really started off with us selling chocolate to people at church. We were just out there hustling chocolate in church. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
But we would have friends come over.
You're like, the religion's fine, but what about this chocolate? Huh?
We'd be like, hey, hallelujah. Hey, let me talk to you for a second.
I mean, hey, let's come on. Yeah. let's talk chocolate over here.
Hey, praise the Lord. Hey, man, you ready to put in another order? Or
praise the Lord, but pass the chocolate. Am I right or am I right?
So we would have people over for dinner, and we would cut up the chocolate and put it out. And they would go, hey, what's this? And we would explain to them our story. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them started saying, like, hey, would you sell us a bar? And actually, this is an interesting entrepreneurial lesson. Like, if you're just doing stuff for fun and people start really being interested in it, mm-hmm. then that could let you know that you might be onto something that more people would like. Right. But anyhow,
right.
So, and people in church would come over for dinner, and they'd be eating the squares that we broke up, and they would say, hey, can we buy this? Where is this? And just
I feel like that's the genesis of a lot of the craft
it is.
artisanal chocolate industry is folks that are good at making homemade confection. People like it, their friends like it, people start asking to buy it, and they kind of just organically move into a chocolate business.
It's the genesis for a lot of successful businesses.
It
In
really
fact,
is. It really is.
a lot of people just get an idea for a business and then start it, and that's risky. Like it may or may not work.
Mhm.
But if you've just been kind of doing something for fun and it has warm reception, and then you go into it, that gives you a
Yeah.
much better chance because you already know people like it.
Yeah.
So we, just for fun, I mean, we would just be selling the chocolate at cost. And then Neri got the idea to start selling the chocolate on Pinterest, and we did that for maybe over a year.
And so our first facility was your kitchen,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you guys would bag and label and box and ship the chocolate. And it was, as I recall, I went over there and helped you guys one time, like shipping 3 orders in one day was kind of you weren't set up for it. It was kind of a
Well,
lot of work, and there's kids running around.
And this would probably be like 2018 when we started doing this.
Mhm.
But it wasn't, I mean, on Pinterest, we would probably sell like 1 bar a month. I mean, it wasn't much.
Yeah.
It wasn't very much. And then I'm
No,
trying
I
to
went
think-
over after we'd started the website.
Yeah.
And we had started to get a few orders.
That got out of hand really fast.
Yeah. So I remember going over there, and there were like 6 orders to put together, and Neri, bless her, was doing the best she could, but she had it's a working kitchen, and she's got 3 kids running around, or maybe 2 at the time, but high energy and without any kind of a system. And so she was just doing her best. And I took one look and said, okay, this can't happen. So that was facility 1 was your kitchen.
It was.
And it literally went from 1 a month to, as soon as we got like 5 orders in a day, it was impossible to do.
Yeah. And in fact, actually, I think we have 5. We have to talk about 5 locations, Brian, because
Okay.
we probably also got to talk about Chef Rubber as well. But,
Well, I don't know if we have time. Let's save that for another time.
so, but it was in there. So yes. So I talked to Dan in particular about this idea of just doing advertising and seeing if we
Mhm.
could sell stuff on our website. And we started off real small, and then like you said, we got up to like 6 orders. But then one day I pulsed it up. I was like, what if I just spent like $100 on advertising today? And it immediately was just like got way out of hand. People started buying our chocolate.
Right. And so I, at that point, had said, all right, we've got extras. We were in an office suite. Another company that I work with, we had an office suite that, because of people starting to work remote, this is pre-pandemic, because of people starting to work remote, had become too big for our use, and we had some empty space in there. And I said, all right, we need to take this fulfillment we've got some space in that office, so we'll set it up and we'll sell it out of that office. And I quickly set up a line. So that was our facility number 2.
And we had a couple of teenage girls over there packaging chocolate for us.
That's right. My daughter being one, and a friend of ours daughter being the other. And we got, a bunch of stuff off Uline and set up a person. And this put me right in my comfort zone. I had never done any kind of a mail fulfillment operation, but I knew exactly what to do. And within half a day, we had an efficient, process-oriented assembly line that converted chocolate from Switzerland that came in 10-kilo boxes to USPS priority mail packages ready to go to the consumer. And we very quickly did 30 or 40 a day, like it was nothing.
And I remember when I showed you the advertisement that I had filmed, like on my computer in my office, you looked at it, you're like, would you sitting around filming videos? Like what, like, why are you showing this to me? But that one video,
and you said, yes, I do. And it works. And it totally works.
I know. And that one video ended up selling like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of chocolate.
I know. It's remarkable because people aren't looking for slick. They're looking for good. And the chocolate's good, and your pitch is good.
Yeah. So that was that. And then
that number 2, then number 3, we finally got our own facility.
But we don't need to go into details. But before that, we actually tried to outsource it to a partner of ours in Texas. And it just, for a variety of reasons, didn't work.
That didn't work. And so we brought it back in-house and got our own little place.
And operated right up the street from our house.
Right up the street, and started operating our and this is just an office suite.
And this is probably November of 2020. I mean, this is like less than a year ago when we did
less than a year ago. That's right. We just we started operating out of an office suite that we sort of adapted and got registered to be a food repackaging facility. And we did that until now, when we're moving into a new space, which will be mixed repackaging and retail. And we had to warehouse the chocolate offsite because that little office that we've been working out of was so small. And now we're going to be able to have our chocolate and our fulfillment facility and a retail all in one place.
I can tell you what it feels like to me in the store right now. And maybe this is, I really don't know what the concept is going to be. I can tell you that my overarching goal for anybody who's listening to this is to team up with more customers to open more shops. That's a long-term goal, but what it feels like to me right now, what I like about it, and maybe it's something we can keep. It kind of feels like you're buying something direct from a warehouse in there. There's kind of a feel because we're gonna have all the chocolate inventory in there,
and it may feel that way because it's the actual case that's
I know,
what's happening.
but there's something about like getting it straight from the warehouse. You're getting the best price.
Right? It's a little bit shady. There's a guy with a hard hat. You feel like you're getting a deal. It's not 100% legal, which is why we're going to have them come in the front door and then go around to the back door to actually pick up the goods.
Nice, well played. Yeah, we've got mobsters hanging around.
There's a dumpster. There's a dumpster back there. Some pallets are stacked up, some crates, some things like that. Those same mice from before are going to be back there. Like, hey, how you doing? Their voices got deep. Their voices got deep because now they're mafia rats.
Yeah, but nice. Yeah, Italian.
yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Hey, you guys.
Yeah. So I guess instead of breaking their legs, they'd probably just like gnaw on your ankles or something like that.
That's right. Yeah, they'll just
a mafia mouse.
They'll just like go into your engine compartment and chew the tube, the pipes that take water.
So it explodes.
That's right. Yeah, they'll chew your coolant tube, because it's silicone based, and that way your car will overheat. Yeah.
Nice. So
equivalent of breaking your leg.
So since we're doing the fulfillment and the retail in the same area, to me it feels like it really does feel like you're going into a warehouse and getting something direct from the warehouse, which I think works well with the whole vibe of our company because we're cutting out all these middlemen and just giving it to you direct.
Yeah, I think so. And, it strikes me now we have a lot of customers that we have dealt with over the years and some people that I've grown to know and love and happy to call friends, and a lot of them ship a lot of stuff. And I'm guessing that most of them, so I've been to a few of their facilities and they do kind of the same thing. They have a dedicated retail part, but they also have a production facility. They also have fulfillment as part of production. So I'm thinking of a great client of ours, Charlie Wheelock down at Woodblock Chocolate in Portland, had a fulfillment center in the back, kind of, and then a production center on the side and a retail up front. And I'm thinking of Fruition and Woodstock. And I know that Ritual and Park City does this. And I'm thinking of someone that I haven't been to their shop. I really regret that. And I want to get up and see her one of these times, but Chip Tautkus up in South Dakota. Have you ever met Chip in person, Adam?
I have several times.
Chip from Chubby Chipmunk and her son Seth. Now these are great people. I got to tell you, like salt of the earth type people. And Seth is an amazing photographer. The pictures, I digress, but his photography is professional class. He's amazing. And Chip is a professional class, great lady who has come down to Peru twice and visited us in Campo. But I know she has a thriving
retail.
Well, she has a thriving retail and I think multiple locations, but she also has a thriving online ordering and fulfillment business. And so I'm sure she does the same thing. She probably has a fulfillment area in the back and a retail area up front, and then a production facility on the side, or maybe they centralize that in an offsite location. But so what we're trying to do has been done before successfully and to great effect. I think it's a great use of your space, I think, right?
It is. Yeah. So one thing I would say about Chip, if anybody wants to check out her website, it's Chubby Chipmunk Hand Dipped Chocolates.
Oh boy. She's brought some stuff down when she came to see me in Peru that was really killer.
And honestly, she was, I'm trying to remember exactly, but I believe that she was one of our first really good friends and customers who deeply believed in what we were doing and bought in and partnered up with us.
Yeah, that's right. And
I remember when we hooked up with her. I mean, it was an important thing for us. It was a big deal.
I'm trying to remember which group she came down to Peru in. I think it might have been the first big group where we had clients coming down. She might have been in that very first initial group. It was pretty magical. Really cool.
And her mom used to live, it was a wild coincidence. Her mom used to live like 1 mile up the street from me.
Was that right?
Yeah, by coincidence, didn't know anything about it. And one day she's like, yeah, I'm coming to Washington, Adam. Where do you live? I said, Sammamish. She said, my mom lives in Sammamish. I actually went over there and think I had a cup of coffee with with her and her mom, if I recall correctly.
Mhm.
So that was pretty cool. And Chip is a great person. I think one thing that is going to be different about our retail store, and it's similar to what's on our website, is it really is going to be a stripped down, simple affair. We don't
Yes,
have very many
that's right.
products. I mean, we just have 4 products.
That's right. Well, also she has chosen the chipmunk as her, and we've obviously got the mafia rat as our as our animal of choice. So that's
Yeah.
another big difference.
It's not as cute. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not as cute, but it's way more businesslike. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
into the business side of things. You know,
I mean,
It's
we're going
like-
after a much more grizzled clientele.
You're like, hey, come get your chocolate. I mean, come get your
Yeah.
chocolate.
And
You know what I'm saying?
keep your hands where I could see them.
That's right. Come get your
Yeah.
chocolate or else. I'm going to make
Yeah.
you a deal, and you're not going to want to say no to this
Yeah,
deal for the
nice.
chocolate.
Now, my goal, as you listen to this, as our listeners are listening, my
Mhm.
goal is to have the shop open in 4 days from today. I know you think that. Yeah. Oh man. Epic.
I don't know if the listener could hear the sound of my eyes rolling, but
Well,
if,
dude.
if eye rolling makes a sound, then I just screamed it.
Your
Come
headset.
on,
Your
4
headset.
days,
Your headset almost fell off your head, dude.
Adam, 4 days.
So this is probably a philosophical difference. Maybe our listeners could send us a message and tell us where they come down. I am of the opinion
Mhm.
that if you have the chocolate and you have a couple of good personalities, which are me and David, and you
Mhm.
have a way to take payment,
You said David's over there right now, right?
I think he's over there right now. Or
Well,
he
I
said
hope he's putting his military mindset and sales genius and personal relationship genius to work on getting all the wrappers and trash and stuff out of there because this place is not ready for retail,
no,
Adam.
Well, getting the wrappers and the trash out of there doesn't take me 4 days. I mean, that might take me like 3 hours. How long does it take you to just take some cardboard out to a dumpster?
You got to break it down, bro.
Dude,
You gotta go order a box cutter online. You gotta wait for it to show up. You gotta cut all the tape. You gotta break it all down. You gotta carry it out there. It's a time-consuming process, Adam.
you know what we do at our house, man? We take all of our cardboard boxes and
Mhm.
put them in my old car,
Mhm.
like all week
I
long.
just wait for the doors to blow out from the pressure of the accumulated cardboard that's in it.
No. Why would I do that? And then when I go to the
Are
office,
you talking about your Toyota, that Corolla?
no, the RAV4. No, I gave away the Corolla.
Oh,
I don't have it anymore.
You got too full of cardboard and you couldn't drive it anymore.
I could have taken it to a dumpster, but I decided to just give it
You
away.
opened the door to give it away and the cardboard started oozing out like toothpaste, right?
No, it exploded out, and the person who I was gonna give it to got knocked off their feet. And they're like, you know what, this car seems pretty dangerous. I don't want
Yeah,
one.
that's right.
Yeah. No, I take all the cardboard over to the
Mhm.
dumpster at the office and just store it away over there once a week.
It's you.
and you know how long that takes me? Like 3 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I digress. So-
I thought you had more substantive objections than just the cardboard and the wrapper.
So I will say this: when we were first getting ready to sell chocolate online, I said, "Oh no, it takes a lot more preparation." You were like, "I would just sell it. We got the chocolate, so we'll just sell it. We'll just go." And you just started selling it, and we just go, and it worked fine. You were right about
and
that.
then we chipped away at it over time.
And then we chipped away at it over time. I guess what I'm saying is, for retail, people are coming in, they expect a certain level of professionalism and visual experience. It's hard for me to believe that we're going to be at that level in 4 days. The baseline for starting and chipping away at it, I believe, is a higher baseline for a retail experience. And it seems to me that we're more like 8 to 10 days away from it from 4. That's why I rolled my eyes, and not only that, it's Monday and those 4 days are all work days and we're both incredibly busy.
That's
So
true. All
it
true.
strikes me as unlikely that we could get it done without another weekend to work on to chip away on the issue. So those were my objections to the 4 days. But in terms conceptually of your idea that you got the stuff, you got the people, you just get it go, and then you chip away at it, you have proven yourself to be correct. And my perfectionist operational nature does not serve us well when it comes to opening and
So-
getting
so
going.
over-
I'll cop to it.
Overall, you know what I think I'm hearing, and let me know if you agree with this conceptual framework that I'm about to hit you with. I think on the whole, you are less convinced about the power of a good, warm, charming personality, and you're more a believer in the process and the system. Because I kind of believe like the right person is such a powerful presence that it overcomes almost everything else. I really
Right. You're the jewel in a dumpster.
well,
theory,
and the thing
which-
is, but
yeah.
and then we have the chocolate. So like, even if people were to come in and go like, geez, like you already opened the doors, this place is not even nice, right? But then you start telling them the story and they try the chocolate. I think quickly people forget about their surroundings and fall under the spell of Fortunato chocolate and David Anijo and Adam Pearson.
And your musky aroma.
Well, dude, hey, you know what I noticed about the store, man? It's already
What's
starting to smell like chocolate. When we first moved in, it was smelling like paint. Now I'm getting the chocolate aroma.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's mesmerizing.
Yeah. Well, look, I think we're probably nibbling around the edges of a conflict that doesn't really exist here, because either way, sometime between 3 and 15 days from now, it's going to be open. We can agree on that.
Then undo that eye roll, bro. Bring it back.
Once rolled, the eyes cannot be unrolled, Adam. That eye roll's in the books.
How about our mom's famous stink eye? You remember that?
Kit Goldman can throw stink eye like no other. I mean, she's got the stink eye in her. Her eye got stink on it. No doubt about it.
She wears the reading glasses, and then
she wears the reading glasses.
Moves
she
them
pulls
down.
them down and gives you the thing with her. I can't even do it, but boy, oh boy, she can really do it. My daughter's got that. Amara's just like her grandma in many ways, and I'll tell you what, she got a stink eye, bro. It'll freeze you in your tracks.
The stink eye didn't fall far from the stink eye tree.
No, it didn't. It hit every stinky branch right on the way down.
Yeah. And then of course, about 10 minutes later, our mom won't know where those reading glasses are.
Well, she does now, because she has a big, like the obligatory Jewish grandma gold chain that holds them around her.
Nice.
Yeah, they can't go anywhere. Surprised she hasn't oversized those yet, though. I feel like her glasses are still very reasonably sized. I would have expected her to have the ones that go from the tip of the nose all the way to halfway up the forehead by now, the Florida special kind of thing.
Yeah,
but she's resisted that. I give her a lot of credit for that.
Christmas is right around the corner, bro. Get that for her.
I think you meant Hanukkah, but I take the point.
You don't celebrate Christmas?
Yeah, we do.
You remember Hanukkah Harry from Saturday Night Live?
I don't remember Hanukkah Harry. No.
John Lovitz used to do the Jewish Santa Claus, Hanukkah Harry.
I like it. I'm going to look that up when we get
All
done.
right. Yeah, check it out. There was one other thing I wanted to mention. Oh, yes. Yeah. Just so you know, Brian, you're signaling. I'm putting these up on YouTube, so people are going to see the video.
Oh, okay. Well, I was signaling folks that I got a heart out, so we got.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's just wrap it up then, bro. We'll just do it.
Okay.
The last thing I was going to say is I want your daughter. I want to make sure your daughter comes and works in the shop.
Yes, she wants to. She's got several friends on the volleyball team, the varsity Issaquah Middle School volleyball team that also want to work in there. Now, of course, they're going to want a fair wage, Adam. I mean, I hope you're ready to pay the kind of wages that teen girls these days are expecting to make. These are some 13-year-old financial operators we're dealing with here, if I may say.
You know what I'm probably going to do is there's like a grass field across the way from our shop. I'm probably going to ask them to set up a volleyball net and play volleyball, and then put a big sign that says Fortunato chocolate that way.
Chocolate over here, volleyball over here.
Dude, volleyball games, a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
All right,
hot free hot chocolate and volleyball. Just come get it. We need a little bit of everything.
Dude, it's a classic combination, bro.
Synergy. Didn't the guy who ran GE write a book about that? He's like,
yeah,
hot chocolate and volleyball, killer combination. It's a can't miss. It's a can't miss.
Yeah, synergy, bro. It's self.
We're gonna have to. The only question is, are we going to split the volleyball division off and make it a business unit with its own accounting, or are we going to keep everything on the same P&L, bro?
It's a by store thing. It's vertical.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
All right, bro. Why don't you go ahead and sign us off with the Fortunato Ford jingle?
Well, before I do that, Adam, I just want to remind everybody that we are open for business in almost every state in the union now. There's just a few holdouts in the deep south and the southeast of the country where it's still hot. We're still not able to ship to Arizona, California, unfortunately, because SoCal is still pretty hot. Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, some places like that, Hawaii.
What about South Carolina?
South Carolina, I'm not sure. I think Georgia and South Carolina are still holdouts because they've been having some heat waves, but it's only a matter of days, at the most a week or two before those states. And then it'll move on into at the end of October, beginning of November, we should be clear for everywhere except for maybe Arizona and Florida and Hawaii, something like that. So everybody who's out there who hasn't been able to order, you can order now. Just email me and we'll get it going through our associate, Zach. But if for everywhere else, ordering is open, go over to Fortunato Chocolate. That's fortunatochocolate.com and order up. We got everything in stock right now. I tell you what, if you're thinking about getting some Christmas chocolate, go ahead and get it now, because not only is shipping going to be tough, but supplies are going to be low due to all the logistical problems you're hearing about. So go ahead and get your order in now. We'll get it out to you. It'll last just fine until Christmas. And so don't forget to go on over there. And I just want to say to everybody how much we appreciate your business and your communications with us and just being a part of this great deal, you know?
Yep, most definitely. And I had the opportunity to eat some 47% with some friends that I took over to see the shop over the weekend.
Yeah.
Man, consider the 47%.
I'll tell you what, if you haven't tried dark milk, you really know what you're missing.
Man,
get up on it.
Good. It's so good.
Really, really good. So having said that, thanks everybody. And I'd like to say, Fortunato, yum.
All right, we're signing off. Talk to y'all later.
Bye-bye.